What if countries were planets? While it would be hard to say what their gravitational pull would be or how many moons they would have, here's what the world would be like if countries were planets instead. Number 10. Algeria. Surprisingly, if Algeria were its own planet, it would be a force to be reckoned with. It would have a surface area of 2,381,741 square kilometers. It would be the 10th largest planet in our solar system of 195 planets, since there are 195 countries in the world today. Fun fact, 193 countries are member states of the UN, and 2 are recognized as non-member observer states, the Holy See and Palestine. They would be tiny little planets. Maybe they would be moons or asteroids instead of planets. Algeria is part of North Africa, and the Sahara Desert plays a major role in its environment. If you landed your spaceship on the planet of Algeria, you definitely need your sunglasses and your sunscreen if you don't want to roast to death. Over 90% of the planet would be uninhabited. The main religion is Islam, so you may have to convert to it. Unless you already practice it, then you're one step ahead of the game. Otherwise, you will be the obvious alien. You might be in trouble if you were from the planet of France. Why is that? French-Algerian relations go back 5 centuries. More recently, the French were the colonial power that controlled Algeria, and they went to war in 1830. To add insult to injury, the French lived pretty separate from the population as an elite force, so they were pretty snooty. This resulted in another bitter war for independence from 1954 to 1962. So, if you were a French person who beamed down and rubbed people the wrong way, you might want to get out of there. A good way of doing that would be to head north to the Atlas Mountains and lay low. This could be a good time to flag down a passing UFO and try to get out of there. Other planets would rely on Algeria for natural gas, so it might be a good idea to be friends with them. Also good to know, Algeria owes no money to other countries. How many can say that? Number 9. Kazakhstan. If Kazakhstan were its own planet, it'd be a pretty impressive one. Its surface area is 2,724,900 square kilometers. It shares borders with Russia, China, and Uzbekistan, though I guess it wouldn't need to worry too much about that if it was floating around in space. Interestingly, this planet would have no ocean because it's landlocked. Fun fact, it is the world's largest landlocked country, however, it does have a navy. This nation is very geographically varied with vast plains and mountains and is very rich in minerals. Depending on your planet's interests, you might want to be friends with Kazakhstan too, because it produces more uranium than any other country. Northern Kazakhstan is cold and inhospitable, whereas the south is kind of the opposite. You could visit all the different parts of Kazakhstan and think you were on a new planet each time. It probably wouldn't look out of place on Star Trek. Combine that with the size of the country, which is as big as all of Western Europe, and you might agree it would make one terrific planet. And now for number 8, but first, be sure to subscribe before you leave, and feel free to elaborate on what you think it would be like if countries were planets in the comments below. Number 8. Argentina. If Argentina were a planet, it would be 2,780,400 square kilometers. It would be quite a turbulent place to visit though, as the country has a troubled history of economic hardship and political upheaval where many people disappeared. More recently, it would be a fun planet to land on because the famous tango is an Argentinian invention. Provided the gravity is okay, you should be able to dance the night away. There's also a bizarre religion called the Church of Maradona, which boasts over 100,000 members. Because who doesn't want to worship a still-living soccer legend? Perfect for a science fiction movie too. Argentina would be the 8th largest planet in the solar system. Everyone there would speak Spanish, of course, and historically, people from many European planets immigrated there. It would also be the 3rd largest producer of beef. It also has a national sport called pato, which started in the 1950s. It uses a ball, but in its early days, a poor duck, a pato, used to be placed in a basket and chucked around by players on horseback. Even an ET might find that a pretty strange thing to do. The planet would have everything from mountains to oceans to glaciers and grassland. Number 7. India. This planet would definitely be unique. For a start, it would be very noticeable from space, with a surface area of 3,287,263 square kilometers. India also accounts for a whole 1/6 of the Earth's population, so a trip there could be standing room only. The other thing about India as a planet would be its diversity. It's given so much to the world in terms of innovation and culture, should be a blast to visit. Despite the country's troubled relationship with the British Empire, which lasted from the 19th to the 20th centuries, there are a large number of languages and religions. Several of the world's most well-known belief systems started off in this territory. Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, and Sikhism were established there, among many others. The planet would be the wettest planet in the solar system, have the largest number of vegetarians, play lots of cricket, and income inequality is widening even further. India's richest 1% holds 73% of the country's total wealth. By the way, did you know that there is an index that measures how much each of the 125 countries contributes to the planet? Do you know which country is number 1 in the Good Country Index? Leave your guess in the comments below. The answer is coming up. Number 6. Australia. Australia is a popular holiday destination, so it makes sense it would be a popular planet, right? It's bigger than the other choices too, at 7,741,220 square kilometers. But despite its huge size, planet Australia would surely be the most laid-back planet in the galaxy, what with all those nice beaches, surfing, Don't be fooled by all the chilled-out behavior, though. Australia is also known for its dangerous wildlife, and if they went up into space with the general population, then you'd better watch your ankles. That's because the planet would have 17 breeds of poisonous snakes slithering around. Also, you're bound to run into a great white shark or two in that warm water. But you'd also have the honor of having the Great Barrier Reef, which is one of the 7 wonders of the natural world. Over 85% of the population of Australia lives near the coast, so the rest of the planet would be pretty empty, with good reason since it's hot as heck in the outback. So if you enjoy a diverse climate, dramatic landscapes, and don't mind getting attacked by nature every so often, then this is the planet for you. Number 5. Brazil. Who wouldn't want to go to Brazil? In fact, if it were a planet instead of a country, then people would make the effort to jump on a spacecraft and zoom over there. It's one of the ultimate party destinations with the world's largest carnival, so I'm sure you'd have a great time amongst the stars. At 8,514,877 square kilometers, Brazil would be the 5th largest planet in the solar system. It has the greatest variety of animals of any country in the world and is home to a large part of the Amazon rainforest. There are also a great variety of tribes that populate the forest. Brazil is the largest coffee producer and was ruled by the Portuguese for over 300 years, hence why the official language is Portuguese. It is extremely diverse, with indigenous tribes, Africans, Europeans, and more recently the arrival of immigrants from Asia and the Middle East. It would be the planet with the largest population of Catholics and the 2nd largest population of Christians after the United States. With a diverse landscape, cities, and friendly people, Brazil is a great place to recharge your batteries after a long space journey. Number 4. China. We all know China is an absolutely huge country, so if it were a planet, the sight would be awe-inspiring. As a landmass, it's impressive enough at 9,596,960 square kilometers. Imagine what that would look like as a planet. Maybe you'd even see the Great Wall from your planet, since we can already see it from space. This planet's civilization goes back 5,000 years, and China has brought many things to the rest of the world. Imagine if it had been isolated the whole time. It would be the most populated planet with 1.3 billion people, so try not to get trampled. There are many natural wonders in China, including the stone forest and ginormous statues of Buddhas, including the Leshan giant Buddha. On this planet, Mandarin is the way to go, since most people speak Mandarin, which is a Chinese dialect, as their first language more than any other language in the world. All countries have political upheaval, but China seems to attract more attention than most for its human rights record. You'd probably be okay as a visitor to the planet, but there would probably be a heavy atmosphere. Not exactly somewhere to get away from it all necessarily, although probably great if you want to learn more about the culture. Want to check your Facebook? Don't do that here. The website has been outlawed in China for almost a decade. However, if you were to visit this planet, ancient China was a land of inventions, so imagine learning about science, technology, astronomy, and math, and being able to bring that knowledge to your home planet. Number 3. The United States. A planet that would no doubt be getting into arguments with China is the United States. It's pretty close to acting like its own planet anyway. It comes in at 9,826,675 square kilometers. And I'm sure the Donald would be letting the galaxy know about it. It would be the 4th planet in the solar system and the 3rd most populated. I've been told that the best way to describe the US if it was a planet would be as a theme park. There are lots of memorable attractions, statues, and iconic spots. There are many of the world's largest things in the United States, including theaters, boardwalks, buildings, you name it. It's home to the 2nd most visited museum in the world after the Louvre, the Smithsonian National Air and Space Museum. If you do visit this planet, get ready to eat lots of pizza. Also, if the US were a planet, it would be the fattest planet in the galaxy, with 33% of the population being obese. The US consumes 18% of the world's energy, so it would be important to have good relations with other planets. It has the largest economy in the world and accounts for 25% of the world's GDP. Not only would the US planet have oceans, rivers, and lakes, but also a wide variety of climates and geographic features, pretty much anything you can think of, especially including Alaska and Hawaii. But be prepared to defend yourself in the Wild West. The US can get rough. And remember, guns are everywhere. Number 2. Canada. If you'd had enough of planet US and wanted to go somewhere similar, only a little calmer, you could go to Canada. Canada is another planet on this made-up list. So whereas on planet US it would be all guns blazing, struggling to reach that American dream, in Canada you might be less stressed, but colder. In fact, did you know if Canada were a planet it would be bigger than the US? That's right, it would be 9,984,670 square kilometers. You'd be pretty cold, but there'd be plenty of ice hockey to play to keep yourself warm. It could prove tricky forming a team though. Canada is big, but there aren't a lot of people, which is great if you need to stop roaming the galaxy for a while and do some thinking. Half of the planet would be covered in forests. Canada would also be considered the most educated planet, since over half of its residents have college degrees. With an abundance of natural resources like natural gas and diamonds, you could live a pretty self-sufficient life up there. However, anyone who's known sci-fi knows the better the resources, the more likely it is you'll be invaded by aliens who want a piece of the action. Number 1. Russia. You might be flying around in your spaceship and notice that Russia as a planet would be huge. If Russia were a planet, it would definitely be the biggest, 17,098,250 square kilometers. There was a debate that Russia was bigger than Pluto, and it all depends on how you look at it. Pluto was measured in 2015 by NASA's New Horizons mission. The diameter of Pluto was 2,370 kilometers across, which would easily fit in Russia's largest east-to-west width of 10,000 kilometers. The surface area of Russia was found to be around the same as that of Pluto, although now none of that matters since Pluto is no longer considered a planet. While it's safe to say the planet wouldn't be the most stable politically, it would make up for that with its rich history, culture, and architecture. Mind you, if you're not a fan of ballet, you might want to find something else to do. The quality of life varies enormously in Russia as it does in other countries around the world. Russia has that whole spy movie vibe going on that makes people from outside instantly suspicious. Having said that, it would also make it kind of cool to go there if you were craving some intrigue. Plus, with Russians being the first into space, they might give you some great tips on how to get around, not to mention the vodka. Just make sure you don't drink while you're leaving the stratosphere. Also, remember that good country index I mentioned earlier? The winner is Ireland! It's interesting to note that none of these planets/countries on the list made the top 10 of the Good Country Index. Thanks for watching! Feel free to take the metaphor even further. Remember, it's all in good fun. Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe and I'll see you soon. Bye!